There are only 3 campuses in the nation, and Duval County is one of the homes for Mayo Clinic, where innovation is a key value.
Advanced care at home is taking what we do in the inpatient setting and transforming that and bringing the care to the patient in their home.
Mayo Jacksonville's chief executive joining us today, explaining the transformation of healthcare and what's ahead. We're also looking specifically at the Emerald Trail and what could happen if a proposal for transportation projects gets approved in Jacksonville. It may take a tax hike to get there. We'll look at why that could be a good use of money. And on this special day for JU, remembering this legend in education and leadership.
Fran Kinne stood for all the things I believe are what's best about the university. She stood for persistence and optimism. She stood for respect. Fran Kinne stood for service more than any person I ever met in my life.
We'll show you the exhibition to honor her on what would have been her 104th birthday on This Week in Jacksonville. A lot to cover in this show for sure. So glad you're with us. And our first guest is someone who's been connected to Mayo Clinic more than 20 years and is the Chief Executive Officer here in Jacksonville. Joining us is Dr. Thielen, joining us virtually from the Mayo campus. Great to meet you over the airwaves, so to speak, this morning. And Dr. Thielen, let's start with the pandemic, where in some areas, some communities, I think it looks and feels like we're turned a corner and we're headed back toward normal. What's your view on where we are right now?
Well, first, Ken, thanks so much for the opportunity to join you here this morning. The COVID pandemic really has presented some of the most challenging times in the history of our Mayo Clinic organization. We've been around for 150 years. We were prepared for it, and true to our mission and values, we've worked to lead in providing solutions to the pandemic, both here in the Jacksonville area as well as nationally and actually globally. And that success is really due to the outstanding and remarkable efforts of our staff. Just like other healthcare systems in the area, our staff have just been unbelievable throughout the pandemic and helping to respond to it in incredible ways. As you look at where we are now, we know vaccines are having an important part of the solution. They're really impacting things. The numbers are going down, but I'd say we can't let up on prevention tools that we've been utilizing, like the hand washing, the social distancing, and we'd still highly recommend those individuals wear masks who are not yet vaccinated. There's still a moderate amount of COVID in our communities, and we need to keep driving that number down within the communities. In the spirit of collaboration, Mayo Clinic is working. We've rolled out a Get the Vaccine to Save Lives campaign. We're collaborating with Cleveland Clinic and 60 other healthcare organizations, including other healthcare organizations here in the Jacksonville area, to really reaffirm the importance that vaccines are safe, effective, and necessary to bring us closer to achieving herd immunity and really get us back to that more normal that you were just referring to.
Yeah, Dr. Thielen, let me interject. I know we've got some images of both the drive-through COVID testing that was happening. I know I personally had a great experience with some of your nurses there going through what was so, it just was daunting when we first started through this process a year ago. But let's transition as well. Let's talk about the changes to healthcare, because so many companies had to say, hey, we're going to pivot. We're going to do work in a different way. It seems like that's been happening in healthcare as well.
Absolutely. The pandemic's really shown us that we need to transform healthcare. And there have been changes that we've been able to utilize to respond to the pandemic, but we really need to take those changes now and make them part of the mainstream in the way we provide care for our patients. And so in spite of all those really bad things that happened related to the pandemic, we've been able to do some things like providing virtual care for our patients. We stood up COVID virtual clinics, literally cared for thousands of patients remotely via telephone and video capabilities. And in June of 2020, we actually opened our advanced care at home hospital capability. This home hospital allows us to care for patients in the comfort of their own home, patients who are sick enough that they would typically need to be in a hospital. And we're able to care for them in outstanding ways. And we're receiving wonderful feedback from those patients who have been cared for in their own homes. And we think that that'll continue to become a more commonplace way of caring for patients. And other organizations around the country will continue to utilize that capability.
Yeah, it answers some of the concerns people have had about getting health care, and especially what we've gone through with saying we needed a social distance and all of that. And I remember the first time I ever heard about virtual health care or a doctor's visit where you were on your device instead of in person. I thought this will never well, I was completely wrong. This is becoming more and more the new normal. Help us as we look forward. Tell us what's in the future for Mayo Clinic. Obviously a great partner and a great asset to the area here in Northeast Florida.
Thanks for asking that question. And we're actually celebrating our 35th anniversary here in Jacksonville in October. And we've really grown over that time period. We now have 8,000 employees, about 1,000 physicians and scientists. One of the recent additions to our campus is in June of last summer in 2020, we opened up our Mayo Clinic Alex School of Medicine and welcomed our first class of medical students to the campus. And we'll soon have our second class joining us. Of course, our facilities continue to grow. We've got a number of new buildings. We're particularly excited about a new building, our integrated oncology cancer facility, which will break ground early in 2022. It'll provide proton capabilities, chemotherapy infusion suites. But what's very exciting about it is it'll have carbon ion therapy, which is a type of heavy particle therapy that doesn't exist in North America anywhere. There are about a dozen facilities around the world. This will be the first site in North America where patients will be able to be treated for their cancer with this particular capability.
Wow. Yeah. So there's great healthcare here in the region, and certainly Mayo Clinic is part of that. And maybe wrap up here. Innovation is really a key factor in what Mayo Clinic does, right?
Yes, we have an innovation culture. We have something called the Innovation Exchange here on our campus in our Discovery and Innovation building, where we connect entrepreneurs, scientists, investors, physicians, all those individuals who are bringing together new ideas to transform the future of healthcare. And we have participating organizations and companies, startups from around the world that are bringing ideas together and developing new capabilities that are really transforming healthcare. And many of those capabilities are changing the way we provide care. For instance, we have a lung restoration center on our campus in that particular building where we take lungs that would otherwise be discarded and are able to provide an environment where we can make sure that they're functioning appropriately and transplant them into patients and increase the number of transplants that are available for patients broadly.
Yeah. Dr. Thielen, I appreciate the time. I know I've done stories over the decade that I've been in the area with people who said, oh, I came to Northeast Florida just because I needed care and I wanted it from Mayo Clinic. We appreciate your time this morning and getting to visit with you.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, coming up, we're examining the Emerald Trail in a moment and the possibilities based on increasing the local option gas tax. That's next. Stay with us for more on This Week in Jacksonville.
Get Memorial Day savings now at Splash. Save up to 40% on above ground pools and pay only $39 a month. Yes, all above ground pools, just $39 a month. Get your backyard vacation ready with Memorial Day savings now at Splash.
Here at Farah & Farah, there is one thing we never forget. It's not about us. It's all about you. Farah & Farah.
Keith Pearson Toyota.
Your hometown superstore.
Things seem to get more expensive as the years go by. Take groceries. Prices have been going up there. And keeping up with your health, that's up too. But did you know at FPL, what you pay for energy has gone down over the last 15 years? And that's something we can take to the bank.
Getting your air ducts thoroughly cleaned takes the trained professionals at Stanley Steamer using the most powerful equipment to get the most powerful results. Our equipment goes deep inside your ducts, removing years of dirt, pet hair, allergens, even dust mites. Unlike other air duct cleaning companies, Stanley Steamer cleans your entire system. Just look at how much dirt can be removed. Call today for a free inspection and save $50 on a cleaning.
Stanley Steamer gets your home cleaner.
Oh, baby, are you going my way? I see you kicking out 4 hours a day, so baby, don't know you're at all. I'm not crazy or a fiend. Not stalker and a scene. How you know what I see?
Let's go.
Oh, okay. Got a feeling, 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 got a feeling.
Monitor, check, and lock down your money with security from Chase. Control feels good. Chase, make more of what's yours.
You just want to meet your new niece.
Here she is.
But if slow upload speeds were to freeze your face and you accidentally snub a newborn,
Nothing is ever good enough for you.
just remember, you're not a bad sister.
This is going to be a problem.
You just need better internet.
AT&T Fiber delivers a faster internet experience with 20 times faster upload speeds than cable. Get AT&T Fiber. Plan starting at $35 a month for a year. Limited availability in select areas. Call 1-877-ONLY-ATT.
Get Memorial Day savings now at Splash. Save up to 70% on all patio furniture sets, dining sets, sitting groups, up to 70% off. Plus zero interest financing available. Get your backyard vacation ready with Memorial Day savings now at Splash.
The Morning Show on Channel 4, #1, 9 straight years and counting.
By doing journalism that puts you first.
Getting answers to what's important to you today.
Late-breaking updates as we work to get back to normal.
Information to help keep your family safe.
Alerting you to scams and rip-offs.
Time Saver Traffic gets you there on time.
Watching and tracking changes in the weather with Exact Track 4D.
The Morning Show on Channel 4 makes mornings happen. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
And joining us in this segment, Rick Mullaney, director of JU's Public Policy Institute and our political analyst here at Channel 4. And we're also joined by Ehas, the CEO of Groundwork Jacksonville. We are all together because I want to talk about the Emerald Trail. I guess, first of all, Kay, what is it and what does it provide for the people in Northeast Florida?
It's going to be a 30-mile trail and linear park system. So it's not just a trail, it'll also be a park. And it will bring social connectivity. It's connecting 15 neighborhoods. It's connecting to 16 schools, 2 colleges, 21 parks. And it's going to be green, so we're improving resiliency as we go. It's going to attract birds and bees with native plants. It's going to have shade trees. It's going to have places that you can hang out, like a deck over a pond. It's increased health and recreation, increased mobility. It's really an equity project in very many ways.
So this, and I know construction's scheduled to start sometime this year, but this really is something that's been a few years in the making. Is that accurate?
Well, if you go back to the Emerald Necklace, it's almost a 100-year vision for Jacksonville from Henry Clouthier. And for us, we developed the Trail Master Plan. It was approved by City Council in March of 2019. Yeah. So in 2 years, we've made a lot of progress.
So, Rick, let me bring you in. We keep watching this. This is an animation of what the trail will look like. Rick, from a policy standpoint, why is this a good idea, or what does it bring to a city to create something like this?
Well, first of all, it's a big infrastructure investment, and for Jacksonville, infrastructure in the sense of the 30 miles of trails, the greenway, the parks, and think about those 30 miles, Kent, as Kay was describing. When you take a look at the map, it connects a number of neighborhoods in a way that's very dramatic, from Brentwood to the east side, to Phoenix Avenue, to San Marco, to Riverside. Big connector. And when this has happened in other cities, such as in New York, in Denver, Atlanta, Indianapolis, it has had a very significant and dramatic impact. But the impact in Jacksonville may be even greater because Jacksonville is so spread out. So one of the defining characteristics of the Emerald Trail in Jacksonville is its connectivity. As Kay has mentioned, the connection of those neighborhoods, the connections of the schools, and what it means to surrounding homes and businesses, a pretty extraordinary vision that Groundworks Jacksonville has been working on since 2014.
And you mentioned some of that connection. I want to bring up a map that we have that shows the broad scope of what's involved here in the Emerald Trail system. So Kay, as we look at that, and then you said this is just the kind of the La Villa connection here. So we'll show both of those to you while we're talking. What do you hope to accomplish? What really, and we heard some of that from Rick just now, what is the end game with this? Because people are saying, is that worth, whatever, $130 million?
So our mission is to literally clean up the ground and water in underserved neighborhoods and create fabulous public spaces. But the big vision is that it leads to neighborhood revitalization with longtime residents getting to stay and prosper. That's the big vision. We economically stabilize neighborhoods, so they're healthier, but the big vision is truly that residents prosper from what we're doing.
Is that $132 million that's proposed? I think Councilman Matt Carlucci had talked about that. What do you think the total cost and what would really be a wise investment for the city of Jacksonville to put in here?
So we're not yet clear on if the gas tax will pay for every trail component, so that's a question that's outstanding. We're talking to the city about keeping Hogan's Creek and the trails that go with that with the city. And so $132 million will go a very long way to getting most of the rest of it done.
Kay, you mentioned Hogan's Creek, and certainly an exciting part of this for many is the waters connection. Hogan's Creek and McCoy's Creek. How about describing what the vision of Groundworks Jacksonville is for Hogan's Creek and McCoy's Creek?
So McCoy's Creek was straightened and hardened in the late 1920s, as was Hogan's Creek. So I call it manhandled. So it's not really natural anymore. McCoy's Creek isn't accessible. You don't even know it's there. It's polluted. So we designed an ecologically restored creek, and we're taking it back to a natural channel design, which means it's going to meander, Kids can play in it. You'll be able to kayak in parts of it. In some places, you'll be able to walk down your street and see a lagoon or a wetland. So it's a lot of nature in an urban environment. That's what's really exciting, because we all need nature for our physical and mental well-being, and to be able to know that that asset is there and will be utilized, and today it's not. It's ignored.
We're living in that urban environment that you're talking about. So I want to show you, as we continue talking, I want to show you some video here. These are before and after pictures, really, of these different places that would be transformed by this. And I guess, Kay and Rick, what's the timetable here? How long would it take to see the afters of these befores that we're seeing?
So we think the first project will take about a year to construct. The first phase of McCoy's Creek is going to start construction in the next 2 months. That's probably a 3 to 5 year project until the whole thing is finished. So one thing I want to talk about is that it's not just what we're building, it's how we're building it. So we look at neighborhoods as our partners in design. So we don't want to go so fast that those neighborhoods are left out, but we want to do it also, we don't want to take forever to get it done. So we see it as a 5 to 8 year project, probably.
5 to 8 years. And again, Rick, I bring you in on the policy component of this. Is there a right way to do this? Do you think the local option gas tax increase that's going through city council process right now will probably be voted on this Tuesday or Wednesday? Do you think that's the right way to fund a project like this?
Well, you know, Kent, when you're looking at what you expect from local government, you expect public safety, you expect free and quality public education, and you expect infrastructure investment. And your ways of investing in infrastructure are like a half-cent sales tax, for example, the Better Jacksonville plan, and the gas tax. And the gas tax by statute is limited to infrastructure improvements. That includes the traditional road projects that everyone's hearing about. That includes the Emerald Trail. That includes Skyway, which is less popular. And it also frees up money, of course, for septic tanks more indirectly. But yes, the gas tax is an important vehicle used throughout the state for this kind of infrastructure investment.
Well, it's certainly something that we continue watching because, again, there's going to be a vote that happens probably this week that determines what happens with that gas tax. We know Emerald Trail, important to a lot of people. Rick Mullaney, Ehas, thank you so much. Great to get to meet you today, and thanks for your insights. So stay with us, and finally on our show, celebrating and remembering Dr. Frances Bartlett Kinney. We'll explain why that's so important next on This Week in Jacksonville.
JEA is proud to promote local economic development by offering specialized programs and support to companies that move and expand here, because more work means more jobs, and growing our local economy benefits us all. Visit domorewithjea.com today.
Hey, Kim! With 5% cash back on travel purchase through Chase from Freedom Unlimited, you're always earning. Book that hotel, Kim, because you are worth it.
I am worth it.
Earn 5% on travel purchase through Chase and so much more. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, most businesses are shouting about their huge Memorial Day weekend sales, but at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, we want to take a little longer to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. This entire month, any military family member that purchases a vehicle will receive free oil changes for life, plus an exclusive $1,000 in savings. Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet honor and remember the brave men and women of our armed forces this Memorial Day and always. They really deserve to be wowed.
What's that?
Snuggle Super Care should help keep these clothes looking newer for a long time.
And we mean a long time. Fight color fade. Protect against wear and tear.
These still look amazing.
Keep clothes looking newer longer with Snuggle Super Care.
Let's snuggle. I'm Morgan, and there's more to me than HIV. More love, more adventure, more community. But with my HIV treatment, there's not more medicines in my pill. I talked to my doctor and switched to fewer medicines with Dovato.
Prescription Dovato is for some adults who are starting HIV-1 treatment or replacing their current HIV-1 regimen. With just 2 medicines in 1 pill, Dovato is as effective as a 3-drug regimen to help you reach and stay undetectable. Research shows people who take HIV treatment as prescribed and get to and stay undetectable can no longer transmit HIV through sex. Don't take Dovato if you're allergic to any of its ingredients or if you take Dofetilide. Hepatitis B can become harder to treat while taking Dovato. Do not stop Dovato without talking to your doctor, as your hepatitis B may worsen or become life-threatening. Serious or life-threatening side effects can occur, including allergic reactions, lactic acid buildup, and liver problems. If you have a rash and other symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Dovato and get medical help right away. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis B or C, or if you are, may be, or plan to be pregnant. Your doctor may prescribe a different medicine than Dovato if you plan to be pregnant or if pregnancy is confirmed during the first trimester. Dovato may harm your unborn baby. Use effective birth control while taking Dovato. Most common side effects are headache, nausea, diarrhea, trouble sleeping, tiredness, and anxiety.
So much goes into who I am. HIV medicine is one part of it. Ask your doctor about Dovato. I did.
Hey, sandwich fan. New Denny's melts belong in your hand. Patty melt's a classic. The Big Dipper's fantastic. And the Nashville hot chicken, bombastic? 4 melts in all, grilled to please. Now with free delivery. See you at Denny's.com.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
And today is May 23rd. So 104 years ago today, a woman was born in Story City, Iowa. She would become a legend for Jacksonville University. A year after her passing, the campus comes alive again to remember and celebrate a relentless champion for education and service.
This is the celebration of the incredible life of Fran Kinne. It's all in red because Fran's sort of signature color back to winning a piano competition at 15 where she wore a special red dress. And there's not much we give up the green for, the green, but we'll wear red for Fran Kinne.
It's important to know every piece of the journey, and you can't skip any of it.
When you come to the Kinne legacy, you'll be greeted by Fran's voice with President Cost in a StoryCorps interview recorded 3 years ago. You'll enter the first gallery and you'll be surrounded by all of the essence of Dr. Kinne, artifacts and mementos from her rich life, organized chronologically from her early years in Story City, Iowa, then on to Missouri during World War II, where she was a USO hostess. Moving through the second gallery, you'll experience a recreation of Fran's sitting room, a space that for those who knew Fran well will feel right at home.
Fran Kinne stood for all the things I believe are what's best about the university. She stood for persistence and optimism. She stood for respect. Fran Kinne stood for service more than any person I ever met in my life. Those are things that I think should run all the way through this university. And one way to do it is you take people between 18 and 80 and you bring them in and you just completely immerse them in Fran's life and beliefs. And that's why we're so excited about this whole exhibit.
I describe Fran as the first visionary of this institution, the one who was dean, president, chancellor, author, artist, musician, visionary, creator, but above all, Fran was an educator. You know, she believed at her heart, and this is what I tell students, in the value of learning for learning's sake. You know, she embodied the humanities. And due to that, she is our North Star. She's the North Star of this university, and she will continue to be. Her legacy will ripple through generations.
The idea that you're watching someone's whole arc of a life from 1917 to 2020, and the fact that she passed away on Mother's Day, I mean, how appropriate. She's been the mother of thousands of students who came through here. She shook my hand on the day I graduated. It's emotional to live any life and then watch it played back like this. You see how much Jacksonville University and the students meant to her whole life. You can see it.
It's important for our current students and our incoming classes to be connected to that history. And how wonderful this year, when we prepare to welcome our new students to campus in June and July, to have this exhibition to share with these students. And we're going to be very intentional in programming that time with those incoming students so that they for themselves can experience and touch and see a bit of a true legend.
This whole thing means a lot to me and my wife Stephanie personally. Fran became one of our closest friends. We had her over every holiday. We came to town in late 2012 and Fran was already into her 90s, but she gave off the vibe of a 40-year-old. And the more time we spent with her, she was never working on an agenda. Her agenda was always what's important to you.
And what I learned from Fran is that the time we spend with students and with people is the most important thing.
She was never an activist from the outside. She made things better from the inside. It was very personal. So I'm as close to Fran Kinne as I am to members of my own family. We miss her terribly.
The legacy celebration of Fran Kinne begins at 1:30 today outdoors on the science green at JU, and then they're going to unveil a bronze statue and dedicate the new Kinne Plaza. And one of my favorite quotes attributed to Dr. Francis Bartlett Kinne: "Please join me in justifying each day the space we take up on this planet and in celebrating life the greatest gift of all. I asked Rick Mullaney to stay with us. Rick, you're working on the university. You knew Fran Kinne. What are those enduring qualities that young students, people who never met her, need to know?
Kent, in your lifetime, you're lucky to meet one Fran Kinne. She was, you just heard all the remarkable qualities, but she was so extraordinary. She was unlike anybody I have ever known. And you were always, she had that remarkable quality of making you feel like you were not only the only person in the room, but that you mattered. And by the way,
the most important person.
The most important. And by the way, she knew your name, and she remembered the last conversation you had with her. And to bring this full circle, when President Cost walked across the stage in 1981 to get his degree, he shook hands with Fran Kinne 40 years ago this spring, and she turned to him and said, "Go do great things." And you heard about the relationship that's developed. Every time I would see her, Kent, she would talk, by the way, about you and me. She would talk about this program. She would talk about Jacksonville University. She would talk about the elevation of the university. She was an inspiration and a role model. We need Fran Kinnes. We really do. And by the way, she's more than just a legend at Jacksonville University. She's an icon for Jacksonville, and actually, quite frankly, beyond that. One of the most extraordinary people you would have met.
Yeah. Passing away a year ago, there was no celebration available because of the pandemic. Really appropriate to do this on her, what would have been her 104th birthday, right?
Oh, she was just remarkable. By the way, you would never know that. If you had a conversation with her, and I did when she was 98 and 99, she was sharper than you were. I mean, she looked you in the eye, she knew your name, and it was about you. It wasn't about her. She inspired and she motivated, and as the President Cost said, she was about public service, and she was about the students. And I think her way of thinking and her model is what's inspired Jacksonville University, and I think, quite frankly, has inspired President Tim Cost.
I saw it, and not part of it. Part of my interview that you didn't see was I asked how his leadership style had been influenced by her. He said, absolutely different from working in the corporate world and then coming to lead his alma mater and learning from Fran Kinne all along the way. Rick, I appreciate hearing from you, your perspective. She is certainly going to be missed. Thank you. And This Week in Jacksonville, we air each Sunday morning at this time, as you know. In the coming weeks, we are working to get both Senator Travis Hudson and State Representative Clay Yarborough with us, hear their views on the new gaming compact approved by Florida's legislature. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air on Channel 4 and the CW17 and online at news4jax.com. And I want to leave you with more from the exhibit at JU. And you're actually going to hear the music of Dr. Frances Bartlett Kinne from June 2016 at age 99.